What's up, guys? It's my trade recap for Thursday, March 27, 2025. Alright, so coming into today on my 4 hour chart, I saw that we're in an uptrend today. Why we're in an uptrend? Because we closed above these highs right here. So I was saying we're in an uptrend. For today, my draws on liquidity were these 4 hour highs up here, and I also had yeah, these were my draw. This was really my main draw on liquidity for today. My target, this 4 hour high. We came up at 9 o'clock at the end of 8 o'clock candle, but we didn't really sweep it as yet. So I was saying this going to be my target for today. Not really much confluence on my 4 hour chart, but I went down to my hourly chart and I saw that we had this fair valley gap, this bullish fair valley gap, and once I saw price came up here, almost reaching the liquidity, and then it started to reverse. I was saying to myself, the idea that I was going behind this trade was that price would be retracing down into the fair valley gap, and then we'll see like a move out of it. So for my trade idea today, I was using equilibrium as a way to like gauge price. So I put equilibrium on the hourly from the hourly highs to the lows of the 1 hour. I was saying to myself that I was mostly going to base my trade off the fair valley gap, but I still use the equilibrium as a way just to gauge like more confluence. So on my chart, what we saw took place was that, so this was where my stop was. My stop was really right here. Let me check on my trading view. So my stop was really like about right here. And the reason I put my stop right here is because I was saying to myself I was going to put my stop below below the hourly fair valley gap, and I believe that was enough room for me. But looking back, I should have really put my stop right here, which is what I didn't do, and which is what I end up losing the trade. But that was one error I made today. I put my stop way too close to like the end of the fair valley gap. So if I look right here, I saw that the fair valley gap is right here. I said I was going to put my stop right here, but that didn't really work out for me today because price obviously swept lower. So I put my stop right here because I was saying that it's an end candle of the third fair valley gap. I wasn't really expecting price to come all the way through the fair valley gap and push that low, but that's actually what happened, and that's a trade I took. Going on to my 5 minute chart though, what we saw was that price came down into equilibrium. I believe this is where I entered at 9:20. Another mistake I made today was that I entered way too early. Like normally I would wait for 9:30, or actually normally I wait for 9:50, but I didn't wait for that today. I guess I was too like anxious to trade. So that was another mistake I made today, that I need to like correct and learn from. Like wait until 9:50. And another reason why today would never really make sense to even trade early. We had news at 10 o'clock, pending home sales. I wasn't really expecting much from this news, but that's why I traded early. But we had final GDP today and unemployment claims, but that was at 8:30. So I was saying that that was like enough time for things to settle. But we had the 10 o'clock news, and I should have really waited until that. But that was one mistake. That was my second mistake. I entered too early and I put my stop way too close to like the end, to like the fair valley gap. On the 5 minute though, we saw that price came down into it and we saw closure out of it. And I believe this is where I entered. Like once I saw price came down into like this the equilibrium. I entered right away as it closed above the equilibrium, and as it hit it actually. So I didn't even wait for any confirmation. So that was a third mistake. I never really wait for a confirmation once it hit equilibrium. Like, to me, this would have been like better idea where if price came down and it clearly go into equilibrium and then it closed out of it, I would have entered right here and this would have been more sensible. But if I took that trade, I would have to put my stop at the end of the equilibrium. So this is another thing. I use equilibrium as a confluence, but I didn't put my stop to to really mature the trade. Like, if price came down here and sweep equilibrium, I would say okay, my trade idea invalidated. But looking into this trade right now, my trade idea is not really invalid because my bias look like it is actually in the right direction. It's just that I entered way too early, so I got stopped out. But if I wanted to enter early still, I should have put my stop below the low, which is at the equilibrium. And even though it's a worse risk reward, it still would have been worth it than just putting my stop so close and getting stopped out. So that was another mistake I made. Yeah, I really was thinking that price would respect this hourly fair value gap though, but I guess that wasn't the case today. But it did respect it after, but it kind of just swept me out and then it decided to go in my direction. But that was the main three things that I messed up on today. I was considering taking a second trade if price came down to this fair value gap. I would enter and we use like less leverage, but I just decided to call it a day today. This was my mistake, my errors today. I made about 4 errors that I normally wouldn't really do in my trades, but yeah, this was like way too anxious, way too like I didn't really think it logically through, and I wasn't really assessing the market correctly today. So yeah, even although this low right here is really like it literally reversed off my stop. So I guess my idea was right, but it's just that I put my stop way too close. So that was the main thing today, and I traded early and I repeated myself, but I need to get it through my head, you know. So this was my trade recap for today. Kind of unfortunate, but tomorrow we still have like a trade tomorrow. Hopefully we can get a trade tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We don't have any. We have PCE, but this news don't really affect me that much. So yeah, this is my trade recap for today, March 27, 2025.